Lake Compounce is a small family amusement park in Connecticut, featuring a variety of thrill rides, family attractions, and roller coasters. Today we are ranking the coasters of the park to give you a look at the top 5 roller coasters at the park, ranked from worst to best. Coming in at number 5, Kiddie Coaster. This is a family coaster meant for little children. It is fine for what it is, but only small children are even allowed to ride it, meaning just by that it ends up at the bottom of the list. It is surrounded by other kiddie rides, and given the intensity of the other coasters at the park that we will talk about later, it is good for there to be something for younger children to ride. It's a good introductory coaster for children, and they often let you re-ride it if there is no one waiting in line, which is always a plus. Just don't be disappointed when you are turned away for being too old to ride it. Number 4, Zoomerang. This ride is the same boomerang coaster found in countless parks around the world. It is simple, it takes up a small amount of space, relatively, and it packs quite a few thrills into a short ride. But it's nothing remarkable. It is notable for a color-changing ride vehicle, and being the ride with the most inversions at the park, It is also the only roller coaster at the park to go backwards, as, being a boomerang roller coaster, it goes through the track layout twice, once forwards and once backwards. It isn't the smoothest ride, but it's far from the roughest version of this same model of coaster you will find out there in the world. But it's far from unique, and outshadowed by the park's unique and more modern roller coasters. It is good for what it is, and it used to be the only steel roller coaster at the park, which put it higher than it should have been, but now that there is another, it really shows how this attraction is not the strongest. Number 3, Wildcat. This is a historic attraction, being one of the oldest currently operating roller coasters. Unfortunately, it is really showing its age. Even with retracking work as recently as 2018, it is still an incredibly rough ride. It is not even rough in the fun way that a wooden roller coaster can be, but in a way that is just painful and takes away from what could be a great coaster experience. This could be a great roller coaster. It has a great layout, big drops, and a decent amount of airtime, but it's just too rough to enjoy on most days. And nothing they do to fix it, from retracking to new trains, can seem to fix it. Compared to the other wooden roller coaster at the park, this is an embarrassment. And it's understandable that this was the only major ride not to reopen with the park amid the COVID-19 pandemic, although they do intend on opening it later in the season. Despite all of this, it still serves as an impressive icon for the park. You can see it from anywhere in the park, and its iconic white design towering over the park is indistinguishable from Lake Compounce itself. The ride may have seen better days, but it is still visually impressive, and the park would not be the same without it. Number 2, Phobia Fear Coaster. This ride is the newest major addition to the park, and one of the most expensive things ever added to the park, and it is well worth the investment. Being a Skyrocket 2 model, one of the most popular coaster models currently available, and being built at much larger parks like Busch Gardens, this coaster almost feels out of place at Lake Compounce, which is typically defined by being a smaller park with smaller additions. It is modern, smooth, and fits an enormous amount of thrills into its small area. Just to give an idea, this replaced a simple flat ride and some path space. While it did mess up the layout of the park a bit, adding a dead end in what had previously been a loop, it was certainly worth the change. It towers, quite literally, over the rest of the park and draws you to it. This upped the profile of the park by adding a second steel coaster, and a far superior one at that. As I've already said, it feels out of place at the park, but in a good way. That if this is the direction Lake Compounce is heading, then the park has an exciting future ahead of it. And number 1, Boulder Dash. This should not be a surprise. This park is known for 2 things: being the oldest continuously operating amusement park and Boulder Dash. This coaster was once considered the best wooden roller coaster in the world, and still consistently ranks among the best in the world to this day, usually placing in the top 5. And it is a unique ride experience you can't really get anywhere else in the world. It makes perfect use of its mountain surroundings, with its remarkably smooth for a wooden roller coaster track layout, with the exception of the ending, which still remains rough even after having the final elements replaced a few years ago. This coaster alone makes a visit to the park worthwhile. Its layout through a tree-filled hill, through a tree-filled mountain, make this ride feel claustrophobic in the best possible way, with it making you feel like you might hit tree branches with each hill, and making the already fast speed of this attraction feel even more intense. And once it breaks out from the mountain, you get great views of the lake that the park gets its name from, and the rest of the park. This coaster put put Lake Compounce on the map when it was built, and it continues to be one of the best of its kind in the world. Nothing else at the park has ever lived up to it, and it's doubtful that anything ever will. This is Lake Compounce's flagship attraction, and likely always will be. So thanks for watching. Be sure to hit like and subscribe. It really helps us out a lot. What is your favorite coaster at Lake Compounce? Be sure to let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching as always, and stay safe out there.